What is the cutest mistake you've ever seen someone make? My 12-year-old son called me at work early one evening. He was home trying to help with making dinner for his siblings and for me and his mom before we got home. I could hear the frustration in his voice. He was trying to mash the potatoes. Holy cow, Dad, I never realized how strong Mom was. I can't do it. It took me a minute to think and then said, son, did you cook them all the way? And he replied, cook them?
What is one memory that never fails to make you smile every time you think about it? My favorite childhood memory is, and always will be, sitting at the kitchen table having a coffee with my mom. We would just sit and talk for hours about everything over a pot of coffee. Truthfully, every time I have a coffee I think of those times and smile. That probably contributes to my caffeine addiction. I need a coffee to get through my day has totally different meaning for me. That joyful thought always rights whatever wrong is going on. She lives several states away now and is getting older. I don't know how many coffee talks we have left, but I'll always have the ones we've already had. I did arts and crafts, story time, etc. as a volunteer at the children's hospital. Definitely when my favorite kid found a bone marrow donor. They have a large golden bell at the front of the ward that kids ring when they finish chemotherapy. She hadn't finished yet, but she just went up to the bell and karate chopped it.
My girlfriend kicks me off my Spotify account every morning. I couldn't be happier. My girlfriend, female 22, and I, male 23, live together. My day starts off much sooner than hers does. I'm usually in the office by 6:30 a.m., which is about when she starts waking up. I'm one of the first people in the office, so I always put headphones on and listen to music as I start my day. I get about 15 minutes of music before it stops and I get the notification that the output device has changed. This is because we have a Google Home that's hooked to my Spotify account. When my girlfriend wakes up, she starts her day with "Hey Google, play," so she has music when she's getting ready. I always just leave my phone open to see what she's listening to, and when she heads out around 7:30, I get my account back. I'm sure that she has no idea that she's participating in this little routine, and I have no intentions of telling her. Sure, it'd be easy to swap it to her account, but I love to know that she's awake and starting her day listening to her favorite songs. Another benefit of this is that I know what her current favorite songs are, so when we get in the car together or we're just sitting around, I know what songs will spark joy. Some days I think she's onto me. We're both very happy together, and I plan on proposing here in a few weeks. I'm excited to spend the rest of my life with her. My boyfriend cried in front of me for the first time and it was adorable. We were just lying down in bed and he was lying on my lap. It was really cute and I was loving it. He has really fluffy hair, so when I looked at him and saw it I immediately wanted to play with it. So I started running my hands through his hair and twirling it. He turned around and looked at me for a few seconds and just went from a blank face to full-on crying. It completely shocked me because he's never cried around me before or even came close to crying, and he was now bawling his eyes out on my lap. I grabbed him and started hugging him and asked what was wrong. I could tell he was trying to speak but he couldn't get the words out because of the tears, so I just told him to take his time and tell me what's wrong. He was really struggling but he managed to get a few words out in between tears and they meant everything to me. He said, "You're my dream girl," and immediately went back to crying on my shoulder. It was so adorable that he started making me tear up and we just started crying together. I don't think I've ever had such an emotional moment with someone and it felt like he could truly open up to me, and I'm so glad he did. I just didn't expect him to cry like that, but I know that he needed to and I love him for it. What is the most innocent thing you've seen? One time, while taking my daughter to the playground, I noticed that one little girl was playing all by herself, and the others were avoiding her like the plague. It was evident to all some medical condition was going on. This little girl suffered from dwarfism. She had reddish-brown hair growing out of her back and arms and didn't follow the standard definition of beauty. My daughter saw that others were avoiding her. She walked up to her, unprompted, I might add, and introduced herself. Then she asked if she could play with her. The little girl's face lit up, and the two began to play together. I turned to see a woman crying nearby. She saw me noticing and said, "You raised your daughter right. All these other kids shunned her. Yours went past appearances and made her feel welcome." I thanked her for the compliment, and we stood there in silence just watching two little girls having the time of their lives. When we left, I told my daughter that I was proud of her. She asked, "For what?" "Because you looked past appearances and saw the person inside." She looked at me like I had two heads. She didn't see what the big deal was. A girl was playing alone, and she decided to play with her so she wasn't lonely. Her cluelessness to the niceness she showed is the most innocent and selfless thing I've ever seen anybody do.
My husband asked me out today. We work in the same place, in different departments. I was getting some water when I heard a man behind me say, "Shoot your shot." And I turned around, and there was my husband walking towards me, water bottle in hand. I was like, "Fancy meeting you here." And he was like, "You're really cute. Wanna go out with me?" Of course I said yes. His sweet face just lit up. Like, he smiled the same goofy smile he gave me when I said yes the first time, 8 years ago. And I know it's cheesy, and it's silly, and it's kinda corny, but it made my day. We got home and talked about it, and I mentioned hearing the shoot your shot comment. He said he told the guy next to he was about to ask out the hottie at the fountain. And the guy next to him knows I'm his wife. He still cheered him on. It just made it that much cuter.
What's the cutest thing your significant other does? If he goes to bed before me, when I climb and he reaches for me. Even if he's deeply asleep, snoring away, he'll roll over and stretch toward my side of the bed until a hand or foot makes contact, then sort of sigh and relax back into his dreams. He's not consciously aware that he does it, but it happens every time. He does a lot of cute things, but one of my favorites is when I get up before him in the morning. He's always curled into a ball by then, so he rolls over, takes my warm spot, and pulls the blankets up over his head, so he becomes a big lump of sleepy. Although sometimes, me getting up wakes him up a little bit and then he just hugs me and goes nope. And refuses to let me get up for a few minutes. He gets really excited about projects he's working on. He can just talk and talk about what he's making, what he's gonna do and what would work best and why. I might not understand some of it, but I love how much he enjoys his hobbies. He's fantastic. He also talks in his sleep when he's sick or really wiped out. My favorite thing was him mumbling I don't want to be a turtle. Her giggling over anything she turns red when I compliment her and gives me the smile, my god that smile. Finally, and probably the cutest thing I notice, is when she is happy she has those reflexes like a dog wiggling tail with her feet and arms. I know this seems like a very bad example, but it's the closest one that comes to mind. What makes it so beautiful is that she doesn't know she does this, and when I smile or laugh when I see it, she asks me what and I am like nothing. It's like this feeling in the movies, when you fall in love over and over with the same person, seeing those things makes me like that every time. We're in a long distance relationship. We usually sleep together over Skype. Sometimes I don't sleep very well because I miss him, like the other night, and I told him I just wished I could hold his hand. He showed me his hand and lit up, then told me to show him my hand and do the same. He said he would hold my hand all night. I woke up about an hour later, looked at the screen, and saw him working on his computer with his hand balled up.